Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining the channel today, Legally Speaking with Peter. Imagine, if you will, if you walk into a store, like a clothing store or even a grocery store, and you want to pay for your item, your new sweater or your bag of chips or something like that, and you just smile at the clerk and you're all polite and you take your things with you and you go. And quietly somewhere in the store, there's a camera that's scanning your face and adding it to a database. Sounds like spy novel stuff, but this is happening all over the place even now. And there are these days going on cases in courts and with judges and lawyers. Everybody's fighting about who owns your face and your data. As a lawyer, I get asked this question often, about privacy rights and things like that going on with cameras and things everywhere. And this is all kind of building up to be the new privacy war. So that's what we're going to take a quick look at today in this video, is what's really going on behind all these privacy headlines that we see and how all these laws will affect you. So let's get into it. So most people think of privacy just in simple terms of things like, keeping your phone off of spam text lists or something along those lines, but it goes far beyond that. Now in 2025, privacy means something a lot bigger. It's biometrics privacy, and that includes things like your face, your fingerprints, your voice, and even your eye movements. So what's the catch with all of that? Well, most of us didn't give anybody permission to track our eye movements or scan our faces and such. And that's where the legal battle begins. So, I mean, if you've been out and about, you see them. They're cameras, they're everywhere. When I had to go to London last summer on a business-related trip, I noticed that there are absolutely cameras everywhere in London. And some people have sort of characterized London as the most surveilled city in the world. Maybe it is, but we're starting to see cameras popping up everywhere in our own country as well. And of course, we carry them around with us all the time on our cell phones, and we take selfie pictures and post things to social media with our face and our voice, and all of those things are out there. And there are some big legal battles along these lines right now. For example, there's one company that gathered hundreds and hundreds of thousands of online photos to build a massive facial recognition database without consulting anyone or asking anybody's permission. Well, they just ended up having to pay out a huge settlement that required the company to give a public a stake in ownership of the company. In another case, pretty well-known pharmacy chain, the FTC, banned them from being able to use facial recognition software in the store because they kept accidentally flagging innocent people as shoplifters, which created problems for them. And these types of lawsuits, as starting to increase, are kind of sending the message: you can't just collect people's personal biometric data and just use it for your own purposes without anybody's permission and thinking that nobody's noticing. So why should folks like you and me care? We're just regular folks. We go about our daily business and maybe use our camera on our phone to do a FaceTime call or something along those lines. But it goes beyond that, even for us who don't necessarily engage in a lot of higher profile activities that would result in our faces getting scanned. But every time we use our face to unlock, something, or we walk past a camera, or even speak to a smart device, as I've mentioned in another one of my videos, that data can be stored and then reused and used in ways that we never agreed to. So in some states, they're starting to crack down on this a little bit, especially regarding automated decision making. And what that means is, if your face is scanned for something and then you're flagged as a shoplifter, then you could go up to a cash register and try to buy your item, even though you're not a shoplifter, and be declined being able to use it. And maybe you might even have the police called on you. And then you have to go through all the rigmarole of dealing with the police and then them finding out that you don't have a rap sheet, as they call it, and then letting you go. But all of that has created a problem in your world. So in some of these states, laws are starting to require them to engage in risk assessments, which means, okay, if I profile this person based on their face or something, and it has some bad effect in their life, they could be liable for that. And so they have to weigh the risk versus the benefit of that. In other words, they have to prove they're not just being creepy by scanning your face and your data. But they use it in other ways too. I remember recently a friend of mine was looking online before she walked into a clothing store for a sweater that she knew that they were selling at that store. And she just wanted to compare the online price with the store price. So she got off her phone and walked into the store. And then, on her phone popped up an ad, basically said, oh, you're in whatever the store was. And then it pops up with an ad for that sweater again. So, it's like the store knew that she was in the store because of geo tracking or whatever. And they popped up the ad that she just had looked at out on the parking lot. So what are we probably going to see coming from all this? Well, there are going to be a lot more class action lawsuits where people are suing, or law firms are suing on behalf of large numbers of people who are affected by a particular data scooping technology that a company might be using without the consent of the people whose data is being mined. And of course, there are going to be a lot more state laws that get involved, and a lot more AI accountability laws being put into place all over the country, because AI, of course, is becoming a big, huge thing. And it's kind of a new frontier, and it's going to require some regulating and such to make sure that it stays under control. So what's the takeaway for the rest of us? Well, one thing we can do is you can turn off facial recognition on your phone. iPhones, I know, have an option where it can do facial recognition to unlock your phone. There are tons of apps out there, banking apps, social platform apps, medical office apps, and all of that. Which will all give you the option when you're signing in of being able to sign in with facial recognition. And you can turn those off unless you absolutely need them. You can read more carefully your phone's privacy permissions, especially with things like voice assistants. Of course, for iPhones and such, that would be Siri, and they're, whatever the ones are that they have on other phones as well. And if an online store or an app, suddenly wants to scan your face, for security, ask what they do with that data afterward and why they need it. I know they say it's for security, but you're entitled to more information than that if they have to scan your face before you can go on to do anything else. And the important takeaway from that is that, remember, once your face is in a database, you can't just change it like you can change a password later. So that's basically it, just a quick thumbnail sketch, as it were, of what's going on in this world of facial recognition, fingerprint recognition. Even more sophisticated things have retina recognition with your eye, because everybody's eye has a separate and individual print, as it were, kind of like a fingerprint. And let me know your thoughts. I mean, do you think there need to be more laws to protect people from this, or is there just a lot of paranoia and we don't need to worry about it? Let me know your thoughts. Drop them in the comment section below, because I'd love to know what the folks out there are thinking about these issues. And if this was helpful to you, just to at least bring to your mind the kinds of issues that we all have to face these days, click that like and subscribe button below. It helps us to build our channel. And as always, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks again for joining today.